My name is Christy Pettis, and I'm 27. 3 minutes after I opened the family group chat and read, "Let's keep things peaceful this year," I knew I was uninvited to Thanksgiving. In our house, peaceful is code for "Christy, please disappear." Boundaries have always been my bad manners. I run a mid-sized online retail brand. Functional, not flashy. It pays my payroll, my rent, and the invoice that lets me sleep. Therapy. My little brother Danny is still certain the universe owes him a yacht and a fan base. My little sister Cassie sells healing crystals and recycled quotes about light. They both live with my parents, in the bedroom that used to be mine. I told myself I didn't care about the missing invite. I made coffee. I answered emails. At noon, I stepped outside for air, and the quiet hit weird. Not still. Emptied. My driveway was a stage with the lead actor gone. The spot where my graphite gray Lexus NX should have been was bare. For a heartbeat, I thought I'd parked somewhere else. I don't misplace a company fleet vehicle. The car is leased under my business. Tracked. Insured to the teeth. I opened the lease app out of habit. The blue dot winked at me from a familiar cul-de-sac. My parents' address. Engine warm. Battery on. Thanksgiving laughter probably close enough to steam the windows. Text bubbles landed like confetti after a bad party. Mom, "Hey, sweetie, don't stress about coming today. We'll send you pictures." 5 minutes later, Danny. "Yo, don't freak. We borrowed the Lexus. Dad's idea. You're always super busy anyway, lol." Borrowed. I stared until the letters stopped meaning anything. Then the meaning came back with a sprint. They didn't borrow my car. They took my company's car. And when I scrolled deeper into the app, I saw the part that made my mouth go dry. Transfer application initiated. Hands steady, face cold. I called my father. He answered like a man who wasn't standing in a felony. "Hey, kiddo, we were just—" "Where's my car?" I said. A tiny pause. The kitchen clatter behind him. "Oh, that. Your mother thought you'd be busy. We're picking up a few things. You don't need it today." "I leased that vehicle through my company," I said. "You filed a transfer request." He chuckled, fatherly and false. "Don't be dramatic, Christy. We were going to bring it back. It's family, not Grand Theft Auto." I had been waiting years to say it without shaking. "You stole from the wrong person," I told him, and hung up. The next call I made was not to him. It was to the leasing company's fraud line. The second call was to the police. By the time the coffee finished cooling, I had a case number and a voice on the phone who sounded like a winter road, straight and unforgiving. "This is Gwen Alvarez, Corporate Investigations. Do you want to press charges, Ms. Pettis?" I pictured my mother's holiday table set with plates I'd bought and apologies I'd never received. I pictured blue dot, parents' driveway, transfer application. "Yes," I said, and felt my spine click into place. Gwen was efficient the way scalpels are. I sent the GPS logs, the lease details, and the screenshots. She promised a recovery agent was en route and that an incident report would follow within the hour. "Stay clear," she said. "Let the paper trail do the talking." The paper trail has always spoken for me better than I ever could. I was still on hold with the police when Noah stepped into my home office. My boyfriend is the least dramatic thing about my life, a data engineer who makes silence feel like a vote of confidence. He held out a glass of water and scanned my face the way he reads a chart. "What happened?" "Family holiday spirit," I said. "They took the Lexus, initiated a transfer." His jaw flexed. "That's not an impulse, that's planning." "I know," I took the glass. "Gwen's on it. Police too." "Do you want me there when you call your dad back?" I shook my head. "No more calls. Only email. Only evidence." He nodded like he was handing me a mirror. "Good. Keep it documented." My phone lit again. "Cassie, no voicemail. Just the kind of text that sounds like a whisper behind a closed door. What did you do? There are cops here." Then Mom. "Christy, honey, they're saying they're taking the car. Is this a misunderstanding?" And finally my father, sharper now. "You sent the police to our house on Thanksgiving. You could have handled this privately." Privately is the word families use when they want you to swallow your own proof. I didn't reply. I opened my laptop and started a folder labeled Thanksgiving Evidence. Screenshots. The app's engine off. 10:03 p.m. Timestamp. A fresh log. New location. Impound lot. A quiet joy slid in. Clean and precise. My car was moving away from the people who believe my boundaries were a phase. Gwen called back. Recovery confirmed. Officers noted forged documentation present at the residence. Will email you the incident summary. Forged. There it was, a shadow dropping a little closer to noon. Gwen, I asked, do we know what they tried to file? Not yet, but the system flagged the transfer as irregular before your call. That's how the alert reached my desk. I'll loop you once the DMV responds. Noah leaned against the doorway, phone in his pocket, body language like a seatbelt. You okay? Oddly, I said. Yes. It's like the part of me that used to beg them to be decent finally powered down. He crossed to me and pressed a kiss against the top of my head. Quick, grounding. Good. Keep it off. Let the system work. At 7:12 p.m., a photo pinged. From an unknown number, my father on the porch, hands on hips, officer's clipboard in the frame. A caption. He asked if this was a prank. I didn't ask who sent it. I saved it to the folder. The image felt like the first honest family portrait we'd taken in years. I typed into the group chat, the same thread they'd used to choreograph my absence. Next time you try to steal my company's property, don't park it in your own driveway. Then I left the chat and disabled notifications. For the first time since I moved out, the silence in my apartment wasn't punishment. It was policy. By 10, Gwen's email arrived. Incident number, recovery order. Note that disputed ownership with forged documentation provided by father currently under review. I forwarded it to myself, to my attorney contact list, to a new encrypted drive. Redundancy is a love language when you grow up being told your memory is the problem. The last thing I did before bed was stand in the doorway of the empty garage, cold air in my lungs like a verdict. I remembered being 16, handing my father a permission slip for a school trip, his pen hovering over my name. You don't handle this kind of stuff well, Christy. Let me. He'd signed for me then. He'd almost convinced me it was care. I closed the garage door on the echo. Somewhere across town, my parents were explaining to my siblings how cops ruin holidays. Somewhere at the DMV, a clerk was writing up a note about a signature that didn't look right. And somewhere, right here in fact, the version of me that believed I had to be peaceful to be worthy of being invited finally stopped apologizing. Tomorrow, I'd call an attorney. Tonight, I let the paper trail speak. The next morning, I woke up before the sun, not because I couldn't sleep, because I wanted to see the damage unfold in daylight. There were already 10 unread texts and a handful of missed calls. My mother's name stacked neatly like bricks I'd stopped trying to carry. The family group chat was alive again, this time without the fake calm tone. Mom. Christy, this is escalating. Please call your father. Cassie. You didn't have to bring cops into this. It's just a car. Danny. You're literally ruining Thanksgiving. I scrolled until the messages started looping. The irony was rich. They didn't invite me, stole from me, and still made me the villain for reacting. A new email from Gwen Alvarez popped up. Subject line, case file, Pettis Automotive Lease, preliminary report. She'd attached a PDF, photos, timestamps, recovery log, and a short paragraph that froze my breath mid-sip of coffee. Forgery indicators present on DMV title transfer form. Signature mismatch flagged. Originating office notified local authorities. Awaiting verification of signatory identity. Forgery indicators. My father hadn't just taken the car. He tried to make it his. Noah came into the kitchen, hair messy, still half asleep. You look like you've seen a ghost. Not a ghost, I said quietly. A signature. He read the printout over my shoulder, eyes narrowing. He actually forged your name. Looks like it. DMV flagged it themselves. Noah leaned against the counter, arms folded. You going to call your attorney? Yeah, I think it's time. I didn't even finish my coffee before dialing Maya Campos, a corporate lawyer a friend had once called a velvet hammer. She picked up on the second ring, voice brisk but kind. Christy Pettis, Gwen briefed me. You're dealing with family-based corporate misuse? That's one way to phrase it, I said. Send everything to my office. Screenshots, lease agreements, the report from the investigator. I'll draft a cease and desist with a civil liability clause. We'll handle this formally. Maya's tone wasn't angry, it was precise. And Christy, I need to warn you. Once we start this process, your family will shift tactics. They'll stop defending and start guilt-tripping. Expect the emotional whiplash. I smiled faintly. Already happening. By afternoon, Gwen texted me an update. DMV forwarded an internal fraud alert. Evidence includes signature discrepancy and photo ID mismatch. P.S. Recovery agent confirmed vehicle in custody. Damage minimal. Engine intact. For the first time in 24 hours, I exhaled. The car was safe. My sanity too. But peace didn't last long. At 3:17 p.m., my phone started buzzing. One call after another. I let them all go to voicemail until I saw Dad pop up. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Christy," he started, tone somewhere between wounded and indignant. "You sent strangers to our house. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? They treated us like criminals." I kept my voice steady. "You forged documents, Dad." "Oh, stop with the dramatics. It was a misunderstanding." "You filed a title transfer. That's not a misunderstanding." He sighed, the patronizing kind that used to make me feel 12. "You always assume the worst. We just thought it'd be simpler if the car were under my name. Tax benefits, insurance, convenience." "Tax benefits?" I cut in. "It's leased under my company, not yours." "Then you should have made that clear." "I did. I sent you the agreement last year." Silence. Then a soft, infuriating laugh. "You really need to calm down, sweetheart. You're making this into something it's not." I hung up before I said something I couldn't unsay. That night, Gwen called again. "Christy, the DMV clerk submitted a statement. They remember your father personally. He tried to insist you were just too busy to handle paperwork yourself." My mouth went dry. "He said that?" "Verbatim. We're adding it to the file. I've already shared the footage with your attorney." "Footage?" "Security cameras. Everything's on tape." Noah glanced up from the couch. "What footage?" "DMV," I said, half whispering. "He was recorded trying to fake the transfer." Noah shook his head slowly. "He's actually digging his own grave." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. This time, from Cassie. "Cassie, what did you do? Dad's freaking out. Mom's crying. Can't you just drop this? It's family, Christy." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Family. That word had done more damage to me than any insult ever could. I didn't reply. I saved the text, screenshotted it, and moved it to my growing evidence folder. By Friday morning, Maya's cease and desist was ready. It was sharp, professional, and surgical, everything I wasn't allowed to be growing up. She sent me a preview before filing. To the parties involved, this letter serves as notice to immediately cease all fraudulent activity involving corporate property belonging to Pettis Retail, LLC. Further attempts to claim or modify ownership will result in legal escalation and civil damages. It ended with a simple line. All communication henceforth must be directed through legal counsel. Reading that was like opening a window after years of holding my breath. But my family wasn't done trying to rewrite the narrative. Cassie posted an Instagram story that afternoon, a blurry photo of pie and a caption. "Sometimes the loudest person in the room is just the most broken. Pray for peace." I laughed, out loud, alone. Then came Danny's masterpiece, a black background with white text. "Betrayal by blood hits different." Noah saw it and snorted. He should put that on a hoodie and sell it next to Cassie's crystals. But I wasn't laughing for long, because at 7 p.m., I got a new message, one that wasn't just about family drama anymore. It was from Gwen. "Christy, I just received confirmation from the DMV. Your father's forged form listed his name as the primary transferee. Signature line signed Christy's Pettis with an S. He literally spelled your name wrong." For a long second, I couldn't breathe. Then I laughed, short, disbelieving. "He added an S," I told Noah. "He forged my name and added a letter." Noah blinked. "So now he's not just dishonest, he's careless." "Yeah," I said quietly, "and it's going to cost him." I forwarded Gwen's message straight to Maya, who replied 10 minutes later. "This crosses into criminal territory. I'm escalating it with the DA's office. We'll keep it contained, but I want you ready in case they open a full investigation." Ready? I'd been ready for years. That night, while the rest of my family probably sat around the TV pretending the world was fine, I sat in my apartment surrounded by neat folders, printed evidence, and a calm I hadn't felt in forever. The peace wasn't because I'd won. It was because, for once, they couldn't twist the story. This time, the facts had handwriting, and it wasn't mine. By Monday morning, my inbox looked like a crime scene. Subject lines stacked like dominoes. DMV statement. Fraud alert. Confirmation. Attorney draft. Pending case number. Each one proof that I wasn't crazy, not bitter, not overreacting. Just finally documented. Maya called first thing. "Christy, The DA's office acknowledged receipt. They're reviewing whether this qualifies as criminal forgery. I sank back in my chair. So, it's official now? Yes, and before you ask, no, this isn't about revenge. This is about accountability. You've got the evidence. Now we let them dig their own hole. Outside, the world looked ordinary. Neighbors walking dogs, someone trimming hedges. But in my inbox, my entire family's facade was cracking in real time. By mid-afternoon, Gwen sent over another bombshell, security footage from the DMV. It was silent, grainy, time-stamped, last week. But even without audio, the image spoke volumes. My father at the counter, fumbling paperwork, signing my name like it was a casual errand. The clerk leaned forward, clearly questioning him. He gestured wildly, defensive. At one point, he even shook his head, mouthed something that Gwen later transcribed as, "She doesn't handle this kind of stuff well." I watched it 3 times. The pen slipping, the nervous laugh, the flinch when the clerk took the paper away. It wasn't just fraud, it was performance. And for once, the audience wasn't applauding. Noah watched over my shoulder. He really thought he could bluff through government protocol? He's been bluffing through life for 60 years, I said flatly. This time, the dealer called him. The subpoenas hit 2 days later. One for my father, one for Danny, one for Cassie. Maya called me the moment she got confirmation. All 3 have been ordered to provide statements. It's not a trial yet, but they're under investigation. Expect contact soon. I didn't expect what came next, though, because instead of taking responsibility, my father did what he'd always done best. He delegated the blame. Maya forwarded me an email from his attorney later that night. Mr. Pettis was under the impression that his son, Daniel Pettis, had permission from Ms. Pettis to use the vehicle. Mr. Pettis's involvement was limited to assisting his son with routine paperwork. I nearly dropped my coffee. He's throwing Danny under the bus? Apparently so, Maya said dryly, and badly. That kind of contradiction screams panic. Sit tight. The cracks are widening. She wasn't wrong, because by morning, Danny texted me directly. WTF, Christy? I just got served. Dad's blaming me. Hope you're happy now. Noah read the message over my shoulder and whistled. That's the sound of a golden boy realizing the throne isn't fireproof. I didn't reply. I screenshotted it and sent it to Maya. Her response was immediate. Perfect. It's evidence of internal conflict and admission of awareness. They're breaking. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed again. This time, an email from Cassie. Subject: Let's talk. The body read like a diary entry written in panic. Christy, I didn't know about the forged paperwork, I swear. I was just the passenger. Mom said it was fine. Dad said it was a family car anyway. I didn't mean to be involved. Please don't drag me into this. I'm a healer, not a criminal. I actually laughed out loud. A bitter, disbelieving sound that startled even me. Noah looked up. What now? She just claimed spiritual immunity, I said. Apparently, criminal law doesn't apply to people who burn sage. Still, I printed the email and added it to the folder labeled Admissions. Because it was something more than apology. It was proof of knowledge. When the DA's investigator scheduled my in-person interview, I was ready. Maya came with me, calm, composed, carrying 2 neat binders of evidence. The office was sterile and cold, the kind of place where truth doesn't need warmth to exist. I laid everything out chronologically. The group chat exclusion, the stolen car, the GPS logs, the texts, the forged signature, the DMV footage. The investigator listened quietly, taking notes. When I finished, he leaned back and asked the one question that stuck with me long after. Do you believe your father knew what he was doing was illegal? Yes, I said without hesitation. Why? Because he hid it. If it was harmless, he wouldn't have done it on Thanksgiving. The one day he knew I wouldn't come over. He didn't want witnesses. He wanted a clean theft disguised as a favor. The investigator nodded. That's all we need for now. The following day, my phone rang from a blocked number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to listen. My mother's voice cracked through the speaker, trembling and theatrical. Christy, please don't let it go this far. We're family. You're hurting everyone. Your father could lose everything. Is that really what you want? For a long moment, I said nothing. Then I pressed save voicemail and forwarded the file straight to Maya. Add this to the record, I texted. Because yes, that was what I wanted. Consequences. That night, a calendar invite appeared in my email. No message, no context. Just a title, Let's Be Civil, from Cassie. I almost deleted it. But when I showed it to Maya, she smirked. Join. Mute your mic. Record everything. If they incriminate themselves, it's evidence. So I did. The Zoom window opened like a bad family reunion. Cassie sat framed by pink light and a Himalayan salt lamp. Danny slouched in a gaming chair. My parents on their couch, faces carved with defensiveness. Cassie began in her therapist voice. Christy, we know you've been hurt, but this has torn us apart. Maybe we can end this peacefully. Danny cut in, already agitated. I didn't even want the car, okay? Dad said it was fine. He said you'd overreact no matter what. Mom blinked rapidly. Sweetheart, listen. We spoke to a lawyer. We know you technically have a case, but why not just settle it quietly? We'll pay off the lease termination. You can keep the Lexus and no more drama. I unmuted my mic. My voice was calm, surgical. You want to bribe me with my own car? Silence. Dad's jaw tightened. This is unnecessary. No, I said evenly. What's unnecessary is trying to gaslight me into thinking I'm the problem for holding you accountable. Cassie sighed dramatically. So what? You want us all in jail? Will that make you feel better? I don't want jail, I said softly. I want the truth on record. And the truth is, you forged my signature, you stole from my company, and you still think you're the victims. Then I clicked leave meeting. 30 seconds later, Danny texted again. You're seriously ruining our family. Hope the car was worth it. I stared at it for a moment, then forwarded it to Maya with a single note. Threat plus guilt equals pattern. Her reply came almost instantly. They're cracking, and once people like this crack, they confess. Be ready for the next shoe. I didn't know then that the next shoe wouldn't just drop. It would land right on my father's neck. 3 days later, Maya called while I was finishing lunch. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the hum of satisfaction underneath. Christy, she said, the DA moved faster than we expected. Formal charges are being filed this week. I froze. Against who? Your father, she confirmed. 3 counts. Attempted title fraud, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and filing falsified documents with a government agency. For a long second, I didn't move, didn't speak. The words hung in the air, like a verdict I'd already known was coming, but still hadn't believed possible. Noah, sitting across the table, watched me quietly. You okay? I think, I said slowly, I'm feeling something I've never felt before. What's that? Justice. Maya continued. Your brother's cooperation sealed it. He requested a deal, immunity, in exchange for testimony that your father orchestrated everything. I blinked. Danny? Yes, he gave the DA every detail. From the night he took the keys to the morning your father tried to file at the DMV. He even turned over text messages between them. I leaned back, a slow exhale escaping me. So he's flipping to save himself. Exactly. And it works in your favor. The case is airtight. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. The kind of emptiness that comes after a storm when you realize the silence isn't peace, it's debris. That evening, the family group chat that I'd left months ago flickered back to life. Not because they added me back, but because screenshots found their way to me, courtesy of my cousin Jenny, who was always quietly on my side. Dad's post. Sometimes your own child turns against you. Not because you wronged them, but because the world teaches them to hate strength, tradition, and sacrifice. I'll take the fall before I let outsiders destroy my family. The comments were everything I expected. Praying for you, sir. Kids these days have no respect. Blood is thicker. And one from someone with my mother's maiden name. Don't worry, the truth always comes out. Noah read over my shoulder. Wow, he's writing fan fiction now. I almost laughed. Yeah, a tragedy in 3 acts. The martyr, the scapegoat, and the daughter who stopped pretending. An hour later, I opened my laptop and drafted my own post. No names, no accusations, just facts. When your family excludes you from a holiday, steals your company car, and forges your signature to transfer its title, remember this. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're the first person in a long chain of silence who finally said, no more. If that makes you the villain, let them write their fiction. The legal system deals in facts. I attached one photo, the GPS screenshot of my car's final ping at my parents' house, Thanksgiving Day, 12:17 p.m. Then I turned off comments. Within an hour, the post blew up. Quietly. Shares, DMs from people who'd lived the same story with different names. Messages like, thank you for putting this into words. Jenny texted me again. They're losing it over here. Mom's trying to make your post sound fake, but everyone knows. The receipts are too clean. I replied, that's what paper trails are for. The next day, Cassie broke her silence. Her voicemail started calm but wobbled halfway through. Christy, I just want you to know I still love you. Even though I don't agree with everything you're doing, I hope this doesn't ruin your soul. Holding on to anger blocks your energy flow. I played it twice, then forwarded it to Maya with the caption, Energy flow, eels, plea deal. She texted back a single line that made me snort out loud. Tell her the only thing getting blocked is leniency. Then came the silence. For 3 whole days, nothing. No texts, no subtweets, no guilt-laced voicemails. Just quiet. The kind that feels too deliberate. Until Sunday night. Dad posted again, this time on Facebook. A long, self-righteous paragraph that started like a eulogy and ended like a confession in denial. I made mistakes, but I'm not ashamed of trying to protect what's mine. A parent's love is misunderstood in this selfish world. If loyalty is a crime, then call me guilty. Underneath it, dozens of amen comments, some defending him, some calling me ungrateful. And then one quiet comment that stood out. If loyalty was love, you wouldn't have to fake the signature. No profile photo, no name I recognized. But I smiled. Someone out there got it. The next morning, Maya called. The plea deal's on the table. Your father's lawyer accepted. I set my mug down. So he's admitting guilt? Technically, no contest. But yes, it's a conviction. Fines, probation, community service. It'll be on record. Public. A weight I didn't know I'd been carrying slid off my chest. Not relief exactly. More like a closing door that finally latched. What about Cassie and Danny? No charges. They're listed as witnesses. And from the DA's perspective, they were following instructions. I exhaled. Figures. Noah came over, placing a hand on my shoulder. So it's over? I looked at the stack of files on my desk. The binders labeled evidence, statements, screenshots. Legally? Yeah. Emotionally? That's going to take longer. 2 days later, the leasing company sent me an official letter. Due to your professional handling of the incident and cooperation during the investigation, we're upgrading your business to executive fleet status. You'll receive preferred rates and a dedicated rep. I laughed. Not because of the perks, but because the timing was poetic. That same morning, I'd walked into a dealership and bought my first car outright. No lease, no co-signers, no strings. It wasn't revenge, it was reclamation. As I signed the final paperwork, Noah slid his hand over mine. You okay? I nodded, smiling softly. For the first time, yeah, really okay. That night I got one last message, an email from my mother. Short, polite, unapologetic. We hope you can find forgiveness someday. Families make mistakes. You'll understand when you're older. I stared at it for a long time before closing my laptop. I already understand, I whispered. That's why I'm done. I blocked the address, turned off notifications, and let the quiet settle around me like clean air after a storm. Because the real revenge wasn't the conviction, or the gossip, or the headlines my dad would never live down. The real revenge was freedom, finally living a life they couldn't rewrite. 2 weeks later, the paperwork came through. State versus Gregory Pettis. Case resolved. My father had taken the plea. Fines, probation, community service. His license to operate any business entity suspended for a year. No mugshot, no courtroom spectacle, just an official stamp that would follow him for the rest of his life. When I read the file, I didn't feel the burst of triumph I thought I would. Instead, I felt something quieter, like standing in the echo of a slammed door. Danny didn't take long to respond to the fallout. He went full damage control online. A new story appeared on his Instagram. Family shouldn't be about sides. I did what I had to do. Y'all don't know the full story. Then, 5 hours later, another. People change when money's involved. It was accompanied by a blurry selfie of him in his car, the caption tagged with #StayReal and #TruthHurts. Cassie, of course, turned hers into content. She posted a photo of herself meditating beside a candle, writing, "Forgiveness is freedom. Some people choose pain. I choose peace." The comments were full of heart emojis and "Stay strong, Queen" replies. Noah read them aloud while we ate takeout on the couch. So, your brother's a victim and your sister's a saint. Classic. I smiled faintly. And I'm the villain who finally changed the locks. Then came the moment that almost made me laugh through tears. Danny blocked me on everything, except Venmo. And there it was, a $27 payment request. Description, emotional damages. Noah burst out laughing. Is this guy for real? Apparently, yeah. I declined it. Twice. Then blocked him there too. That $27 felt like the perfect summary of our entire family dynamic: petty, performative, and always about money that wasn't theirs. A few days later, I heard through Jenny, my cousin, that my mom had started rewriting the story for their neighbors. "She's telling everyone you got manipulated by corporate lawyers," Jenny said, "that you didn't know what you were signing and it all just spiraled." I smiled at that. Sure, confused people always collect GPS logs, legal witnesses, and video footage. Jenny hesitated. "Do you ever regret it?" "No," I said softly. "I regret how long I waited." The leasing company sent another message that week, this one from Gwen herself. "Officially closing your case file, Ms. Pettis. Thank you for your cooperation. You handled this with integrity and restraint, rare considering the personal nature of the incident." I sat staring at the words integrity and restraint for a while. If she only knew how many times I'd wanted to drive to their house and scream. But that's the difference between fury and freedom. One burns you, the other builds you. 3 months later, on my birthday, I took a solo trip. Noah couldn't come, a work project, but he'd planned every detail. A mountain cabin, stocked fridge, playlist titled Clean Slates and Cold Air. The first night, I sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket, snow catching the porch light like glitter. The world was quiet, pure, untangled. I thought about the last Thanksgiving, the empty driveway, the group chat without my name, the text that called me too intense. And then I looked at the car parked outside, my own SUV, bought outright, in my name alone. No forged signatures, no shared accounts, no explanations owed. For the first time, I could breathe without permission. The next morning, I woke to a soft ping, one last message from an unknown number. No words, just a photo. A family dinner table, 3 empty chairs, half-eaten pie. I didn't need to ask who sent it. The image said everything. They'd set the table for 4, and realized too late there were only 3. I deleted the message and set my phone down. Some doors don't slam. They just seal quietly behind you when you walk away. Later that day, I took a drive through the mountain roads, windows down despite the cold, wind cutting through my hair. No destination, no one to report to, no one to demand I be peaceful. As I watched the sunset roll over the snow, I realized something I'd never let myself believe before. I wasn't the family disappointment. I was the family mirror, the one who showed them what accountability looks like. They took my car. They tried to take my name, but they didn't take me. I was still here, still standing, still moving forward, on roads they'll never see.